Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke, and it is good to have you here this morning. Those of you who are with us in the sanctuary, as well as those of you who are joining us on YouTube, it's good to have you here too. Great to have you. Special welcome to those who may be joining us for the first time. We believe that you will find this a safe space to explore your spirituality as we explore ours, and we hope you will come back again. Did I tell you my name is Carol Hingler? Did I do that? And also, you might have noticed I've lost an earring, and I was not going to wear it, and then Catherine told me that it would be fine, that it's kind of edgy, and she would have done it. And since she is our board president, and she would have done it, so there you go. Anyway, our minister, Reverend Walter LaFleur, is on a summer sabbatical. He'll be back in a few weeks. This morning, we have some very special guests for our service, and these are very special musicians, and it is Aidan Quinn and Christine Stay, and they are known musically as Friction Fawn. And they have been with us any number of times to do services for us. I remember one time they did a concert on a Saturday night, and then they did the service, the music for the service on Sunday morning. That's a lot of music. Also, in 2015, they did the final service for Pastor Dave. Some of you may remember Pastor Dave. And what was really neat is they took one of their songs. Do you remember? They rewrote one of their songs that was kind of like a wishing someone well, sailing away. And they rewrote it for Pastor Dave, and they used that at the service. Do you remember that? Yeah, that was a neat thing. Anyway, we are really glad to have them here with us today. They have traveled from South Carolina to be with us, so thank you so much for doing that. Two important things. If you are here in person, please be sure that your cell phone is silenced. Okay, good, thank you. And for those of you on YouTube, if you would like to get something that you would like to be uplifted in front of the congregation into our joys and concerns section later on, just put that in the chat on YouTube, and we will try to get that into that section later. Our traditional words of welcome. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you express your identity, whatever your situation in life, whatever your experience of the holy, as you come seeking love, your presence here is a gift. Whether you are filled with sadness, overflowing with joy, needing to be alone with yourself, or eager to engage with others, all who welcome all are welcome here. We ring the chime bell 7 times, that one didn't count, 7 times in honor of the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism. If you knew there was no heaven, would you still be kind? If you knew there was no hell, would you change your mind? It's not a question of faith or the way that you believe. It's who you are down deep. So make your mind up before your time's up. You don't have time to waste, because the end of the world is never far away. When they're pounding on my door, when they're calling out my name, will you stand by me or deny that we're the same? Till the moment of truth, we never really know. But if you mean to stare down trouble, well, maybe that's the side you show. So get your plans made before it's too late. You don't have time to wait, because the end of the world is never far away. When he takes you in his arms, what color will you be? Angry flame red or pure white mercy? The angel always knows on your very last day if your whole life was bright or gray. So get your soul right before your last flight. You don't have time to waste, because the end of the world, the end of the world, the end of the world is never far away. Our opening words were written by Carl Seberg. Let there be joy in our coming together. Let there be truth heard in the words we speak and the songs we sing. Let there be help and healing for our disharmony and despair. Let there be silence for the voice within us and beyond us. Let there be joy in our coming together. Christine is going to help us in our chalice lighting. We drink from wells we did not dig. We have been warmed by fires we did not build. We light this chalice in thanksgiving for those who passed their light to us. Thank you. Please join me in reading the chalice lighting words in our order of service. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of life.
Good morning. I'm Jessie McEwen. I'm the Director of Lifespan Faith Development here at UUCR. And this morning I have a story for you about myself. Now, one day I had a lot of stuff to do and I had hurt my wrist, but I was here by myself. So I started moving chairs around. I tried to clean off the stage and I was pushing those curtains open, and wouldn't you know it, after a while, I did more harm than good. I did everything by myself, and it kind of hurt, and it was hard to do, and I didn't get everything done, and I felt pretty broken, just like this stick. So then I went home, recharged. I called my mom, and she said, "Isn't there anybody who can help you?" And wouldn't you know it, I came back the next day, and I had called Catherine and Jean and Mark and a bunch more of my friends and Carol. And together, we worked pretty hard. And those things that broke me the day before just bent that group of people. And then someone said, "Well, why don't we call the folks who live right around the corner?" And they came and joined us. And together we did all kinds of work. We cleaned, we did gardening, we had a lot of fun. We ate some pizza, we had some soda. It was great. But you know what? Those things didn't even bend us the next day. And then I went home and I called my mom again, and I told her that when I called those people, I expected them to say, "Oh, I can't come," or "Oh, that's too much for me," because it had been way too much for me. But with a lot of people helping, it was almost nothing. You know, so all somebody had to do was call and order the pizza while we cleaned. That's a pretty easy job. But if they'd been here by themselves, they would have had to do all the cleaning before they ordered the pizza, and then they'd been too tired. They would have ended up like this stick and not even awake to eat the pizza. So we have to remember, sometimes we have to ask for that help. If somebody comes up and says, "You need a hand with that?" what can we say? Yes, thank you. I love that energy. Yes, thank you. And then we realize that we're not alone. We're all in this together, and we're going to do it together. I'm going to take my friends and I'm going to head out to the lobby. And if you choose to come upstairs to celebrate Friendship Day, we're going to talk about ways that we can make sure other people are not alone. And we'll meet in the lobby. And then afterward, we'll come right back downstairs. Thank you very much.
Our centering reading is by Merle Shane, and it is called Illumination. It is better to light candles than to curse the darkness. It is better to plant seeds than to accuse the earth. The world needs all of our power and love and energy. And each of us has something that we can give. The trick is to find it and give it away, to use it. So there will always be more. We can be lights for one another. And through each other's illumination, we will see the way. Each of us is a seed, a silent promise, and it is always spring.
In your darkest hour, will you hang your head? You solemn tones cower and beg for forgiveness. I don't know if it will save my soul, but I will turn up the music and dance till I go the last distance. Heaven has got enough excuse makers, they could use a couple more hip shakers these days. These days. When the skies turn dry and your crops won't thrive, will you lock up your storerooms, sell all your grain for a price to your friends? I believe if I am blessed with more, I will set a big table, throw open my doors, ask you in. This world has got enough deal makers, we could use a couple more bread bakers these days. These days. When the lines are drawn and the flags are flown, in the name of what's right, we will do so much wrong. In broad daylight, the time will come when you will have to choose. Do you care about something, or just if you win or you lose the next fight? This world has got enough instigators, we could use a couple more peacemakers these days. these days. Yeah, this world has got enough muckrakers, stirring up hatred in troublemakers, selfish backbreakers, and users and takers. We could use a couple more peacemakers these days. These days. Yeah, this world has got enough war makers, filling up coffins of undertakers, willing heartbreakers and thieving dream takers. We could use a couple more peacemakers these days. These days. These days.
These days, I read the newspaper, and there are 20 big, awful, overarching problems every single day. The pandemic refuses to go away. Our planet is melting, yet science is being ignored. There's a full-on war in Ukraine, and gun violence is on the rise here at home. Women are losing control over their bodies in my country. Voter suppression is on the rise in my state, and I can see obvious effects of institutional racism in my own little town. So we need hope more than ever. Yet I keep hearing that people are giving up, giving in, and tuning out. Do you ever feel this way too? Just exhausted and frustrated? You are not alone. But I have never lost hope. Never. Never. Now, let's be clear, hope is definitely not optimism. They're two very different things. Psychologists tend to define optimism as a general expectation that good things will happen sometime in the future. Optimists tend to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Optimism is some sort of general feeling that the arc of the moral universe bends towards justice. I am not an optimist. But hope is different. Hope is the belief in the possibility of improvement, combined with the belief that we have the ability to make it so. And for me, that elevates hope way above just wishful thinking. Hope is knowing that the arc of the moral universe must be bent towards justice, and believing that we have the power to do it. Václav Havel, the playwright, dissident, and former president of Czechoslovakia, says this about hope. Hope is a state of mind, not a state of the world, an orientation of the spirit or the heart. It transcends the world that is immediately experienced and is anchored somewhere beyond its horizons. He also believes that a hopeless enterprise stands at the beginning of most good things. But what do you do when your well of hope has run dry? I suggest you turn to history and to science. Historian Howard Zinn says, to be hopeful in bad times is not just foolishly romantic. It is based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty, but also of compassion, of sacrifice, courage, and kindness. We know that organized protest by small groups of ordinary citizens advanced the civil rights movement, leading to the Civil Rights Act. Bus boycotts, lunch counter sit-ins, marches, they worked. Millions of people took to the streets on Earth Day in 1970, and that preceded the establishment of the EPA. It worked. Yet today, our actions don't seem to be working. We have record-sized, multi-location global protests, but no big results. Don't lose hope. New York Times columnist Zeynep Tufekci actually researched this, studied it. And in the past, a truly big march was a culmination of long-term organizing. She describes it as an exclamation mark at the end of a sentence. Back then, marches and organized protests grew from communities who bonded and grew strong as a team while coordinating all their efforts. They built organizational capacity. Technology these days has made it a lot easier to make a big splash. We can gather tons of people really quickly. But it's the grassroots stuff, the small stuff, that really makes the difference. Gives us the power to navigate what comes after a big march. Small actions by small groups of people growing together is what really makes change. But how does that work in practice these days? Well, Black Lives Matter has actually been a grassroots group since 2013. And they got a big injection of energy and publicity after the murder of George Floyd. But at that moment, they were already prepared to take action. And things changed. Some things. For example, the Confederate symbol was removed from the Mississippi state flag. That's huge. It's huge. And we hear a lot about things like the outcry at school board meetings over critical race theory. Yet, nearly half of Americans support adding the history of Juneteenth to their school curriculum. Why don't we hear about that? According to a recent Gallup poll, the number of Americans who believe that opportunities are equally good for Black and white people is at its lowest point since they started tracking that issue back in 1963. And that means that there's a changing awareness among all of us about the difficulties encountered by people of color. The arc of the moral universe is bending just a little because we act together.
Going to be a lot of songs in this, by the way. Sometimes it feels like all you have is hope. You wished on birthday candles, stars, and on the moon. None of your wishes has come true. I believe that this time they do. Because I'm here now, and you're here now. Stand tall, reach deep, find strength in the company you keep. One friend is how we start. I will hold your hope in my heart. Wasn't there a time when neighbors stopped to help, lent a hand, or shared a bit when you needed some? And you cried out, somebody would come. Didn't matter where you came from, because you're here now, and they're here now. Stand tall, reach deep, find strength in the company you keep. One friend is how we start. I will hold your hope in my heart. Some people have forgotten how that works. Did the wisdom of the ages get locked away? They say who should go and who should stay. I believe we can change that today, because we're here now. We're here now. Stand tall, reach deep, find strength in the company you keep. One friend is how we start. I will hold your hope in my heart. Yes, I will hold your hope in my heart.
Well, now, if history did not revive your hope, let's try science. In 2020, a group of researchers analyzed and combined the results of 88 different studies involving 25,000 participants. And they looked at how our altruism is affected after we see someone else doing good. And in these studies, people read about or they saw someone else doing something good. And then they had an opportunity to be kind and generous themselves. And it turns out that witnessing love or kindness had immeasurable positive effects. People resonate with the underlying reason for doing good, and they become motivated to spread that goodness. In these 88 different studies, every single one of them suggested that people are decent by nature and just waiting for inspiration to act that way. So trust the science. There were two findings that really resonated with me as evidence of hope, a reason to build on our better nature. First one is that as time passed since witnessing altruism, the impetus of our own generosity declined. It's proof that we matter. Our action promotes altruism in others. We need to continue our acts of kindness. Make it important, schedule it, make it visible, and remind people that they're not alone. And the second thing was that the response we have to good works also mattered. When seeing people, kind people, be praised or rewarded, that had a much bigger effect than denouncing or shaming anything bad. So again, we matter. We can amplify the good. We can help balance out all the bad, sad news that we hear every day. We can remind people that we share their values and that they do share ours. When we only see the worst, it kind of destroys our capacity to act. That if we remember the times and places where people behaved brilliantly,
It gives us the energy to do things, and at least the possibility and the hope of bending that arm. Now, I think history and science are pretty compelling, but in case you need just a little bit more, I want to share some personal experience. Aiden and I became aware of the importance of childhood literacy. And as you know, we are hopeful people. So we began to take steps to improve literacy among kids wherever we were on tour, with the firm belief that it could happen and that maybe we might make some sort of a difference. It was pretty significant in our lives, but in a microscopic sort of endeavor in the scope of national literacy. We'd write songs inspired by kids' books. We'd read to kids, we'd play the songs. And whatever good that might accomplish was worth our effort. But then our fan community got wind of this and they stepped in. Aiden and I, we don't do any sort of fundraising or crowdfunding. But so many people wanted to be a part of this effort that they crowdsourced for us on their own, allowing us to do more shows and tours. We had sparked hope in them. And in turn, they sparked hope in us. And hope is a big motivator, and their investment in us made us feel accountable. And then teachers and librarians we met were energized by our tiny little program, and they dove in and helped us reach more kids and get more books into their hands, and we energized their work. So, did we improve the statistics on childhood literacy? No, not one bit. But my kind of hope is a plan to help improve the odds of that possibility. Did we encourage a kid to try a chapter book? Yes, absolutely yes. Did we make it easier for one kid to keep reading when it was difficult? Yes, we did. We're not waiting for some utopian future. We're making tiny steps in the infinite present. A microscopic bend in that long arc. And really to act and to do in spite of all the negative around us is a victory in and of itself. As the Reverend Norman Vincent Peale said, you can change your life, I can change my mind, and together we can change the world.
Can you sing in masks? I don't know. We can make a difference if we try. We can change the world, you and I. See, it takes two of us to get through this. There's a teacher at my daughter's school. Sometimes she makes it seem cool to like poetry and complex calculations. Shame how little she gets paid, but I let her know she makes the grade when I vote to increase her salary. It's not much, but it's something I can do. Just a little thing, but if you do it too, we can make a difference if we try. We can change the world, you and I. A new couple moved in down the street. The neighbors haven't tried to meet because they look and act a little differently. Might not change how people think, but sharing dinner and a drink says different is alright by me. It's not much, but it's something I can do. Just a little thing, but if you do it too, we can make a difference if we try. We can change the world, you and I. We blame corporations and the government for how money is made and money is spent. Well, the truth is, both of them are us. So I will act the way I think, help people swim instead of sink, share the joy of being generous. It's not much, but it's something I can do. Just a little thing, but if you do it too, we can make a difference if we try. We can change the world, you and I. We will change the world, you and I.
Hope is hard to sustain in isolation. And man, we've had a lot of isolation lately, haven't we? But research shows that for people working to bring social change, personal relationships and community provide the reason for hope and ignites conviction to keep fighting. The research on protests, the social experiments, our own personal experience, they all point to the value we bring to each other. You are not alone. But more essentially, the person sitting next to you is not alone. Are you sure they know that? Connection to others allows activists to feel a sense of accountability, to recognize that their work matters, that they're part of something bigger. Tell them. Walk with them. Write letters with them. Remind them that their work matters and that they are not alone. Health research suggests that sustaining hope depends in part on the particular company that we keep. For example, parents of chronically ill children often maintain hope by withdrawing from some of their negative friends. Because despair can be pretty seductive. If we can't change anything, there's no point in doing anything. It's so clean, so finite. Whereas hope is pretty messy. It's inconclusive. Things might work out. Should we really invest all this effort into a possibility of some margin of improvement? So that friend who's sliding towards despair is certainly not alone, right? They have you. And you can help them see the positive. So don't worry about your hope. Restore theirs. You're not alone.
That my mother never thought my daughter would still fight to speak her mind, to have a say in her own civil rights. But when men declare her voice categorically dismissed, there will always be women who persist. There will always be women who persist. There will always be women who persist. My forefathers came by ship, together with their clan. Architects of their own dreams, was this part of the plan? For every thug who guards the gate with a raised, clenched fist, there will always be men who coexist. There will always be men who coexist. There will always be men who coexist. One misguided spark falls on tinder to ignite a raging fire growing much too big to fight. Malicious mobs may tattoo numbers on the wrists, but there will always be angels in our midst. There will always be angels in our midst. There will always be angels in our midst. Be a woman who persists, be a man who coexists, be an angel in our midst. There will always be There will always be angels in our midst. As Margaret Mead once said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing it ever has. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine and Aidan, for your powerful and inspiring message. Thank you so much. The offering shall now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values. It is your generous support that enables us to fulfill our mission within these walls as well as in the wider community. The ushers will pass the baskets. Thank you for your generosity. Jane, you're up for lifelines. That's okay.
Good morning. I'm Jane Harrison from the Caring Committee. One of our duties is to share the joys and the concerns of this congregation. So if you have a joy or a concern that you wish to share, you can either call and leave a message at the church office. You can call Sally Garber. She's the chairman of our Caring Committee. Or Sunday morning, we usually have the Lifelines book sitting up on the altar, and you can write something in it, and we will be glad to share it with you. If you have a joy or a concern that is you want to keep in your heart and you really don't want it shared with the congregation, we do have the bowls with the pebbles in them, and you can put a pebble in the bowl and share your joy and your concern with yourself. Let us enter into this time together, and we have a joy and we have a concern. Our concern is that Beth Carruthers is tested positive for COVID. She's presently in assisted living, and I'm sure they will take very good care of her. They have so far. And then we also have a joy. Thanks to the generosity of our members and friends, the children of the UUCR have a set of 25 water bottles to use, wash, and reuse during lifespan faith development activities. This is a great joy for the religious education participants and our Mother Earth. Will Christine or Carol, we will presently light a candle for all the people in our hearts and everybody who is not here today. Thank you.
We do have a few announcements. UUCR is hosting a Red Cross blood drive on Wednesday. That's this Wednesday, August 10th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Red Cross staff will be collecting whole blood and Power Red donations. To schedule a donation time, contact Ann Hackworth. That would be 540-857-8998, or email her at avhack@aol.com. Next, the UUCR board the meetings have been moved to the second Tuesday of the month. That's the board meetings. The next board meeting will take place this coming Tuesday, August 9th at 6:30 p.m. in the Old Room. Due to errors, this is a complicated one here, due to errors and delays with our church email system, from this point forward, anyone who submits content for the monthly newsletter will receive a confirmation email from our administrative assistant, Samantha, within one business day. So that way you'll know that she has it. If you do not receive an email receipt of your content submission, please contact the office to be sure that your information was received, or if not, resend it. If you submit content after the 23rd of the month, it's not guaranteed that your information will be included in the newsletter. And we know that that's the deadline, the 23rd, for information for the newsletter. We will not send out an update email for every submission after the deadline, as this is a tool reserved for information that is priority for the congregation. I think we get the idea. One more important announcement, and that is that there will be a table out. There is a table out in our garden, our memorial garden, and there will be CDs, Friction Farm CDs, that are available for your purchase if you would like to enjoy this wonderful music after you leave here. You can enjoy it in your car, you can enjoy it at home, you can enjoy it anywhere. Now, let's see. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard. The path is never clear. And the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Aidan Quinn is going to help us with our chalice extinguishing this morning. Thank you. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace, return in love, and again, thank you so much to Christine Stay and Aidan Quinn for their wonderful service this morning and their wonderful music. And hopefully you'll come out to the garden. I don't know, is there coffee today? I thought I smelled coffee. Okay. Have a wonderful day.